All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the session titled Teaching Writing in the Age of AI, Lessons Learned from a Faculty-Led Innovation Grant. My name is Tuya King, and I am the grants manager here at the uh, system office, and I will be the facilitator for this session. Just please note that this session is being recorded, and we'll have a Q&A time at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And to turn on captions during the session here, go ahead and click the three dots at the top of the meeting, and then click on the language and speech, and then turn on live captions. For more information on live captions, you can visit the Microsoft support link in the chat that I've entered. And then I also just wanted to share that our goal is that we're going to have the recordings and resources uploaded um, for the faculty summit here by next week or within the next week. And so I'm going to put a link to that as well here in the chat. So that way, if you need to come back, you can click on this and then you should be able to access those resources in recordings or links, like I said, within the next week. And so as we get started, I just want to take a moment to review some of the expectations um, of today's session. And so as for engagement, please do your best to listen actively and be present. And then if you have questions, as I mentioned already, write them down so we can address them. And then just take space and make space during the presentation for others as well, so that if they have questions or things that they would like to share. And so with that, I just want to say that we are very excited to host the third WTCS Faculty Summit. We recognize that many of you are taking time out of your busy work schedule and family time to be here. And so we want to make the most of our time during this session. As mentioned already, please share your questions in the chat and we will address them at the end of the presentation. Additionally, at the end of the session, we'll be putting a link to the exit ticket in the chat. And so we'd like to ask for some brief feedback regarding the session. And we'd like to encourage you to share one action step that you want to take based on the information shared. And so with that, I'm going to now turn it over to our presenters. So.
Thank you for joining us on a Friday. My name is Jenny Heinrichs, and I am a communication skills instructor at Fox Valley Technical College. And I'm here with three of my coworkers together, along with the rest of our department, with the support of our Center for Instructional Excellence and our manager. Our team was able to incorporate AI into our communication skills classes, specifically into some of our writing classes last year. So our presentation is going to focus on how we were able to have that opportunity, what we created, what we learned, and the results of all of our team's hard work.
So as writing teachers, we know that our students struggle with the process and the product both for writing. And they were using AI, but not using it effectively or ethically. And so as part of the grant, it was a success grant through the WTCS, and our Center for Instructional Excellence, as Jenny said, helped us to learn how to integrate AI into our writing. As part of that grant, each of us as leads received 6 hours per week of course release time, and the rest of our comm skills faculty received 3 hours per week, which allowed us the ability to dive into many of the new technologies, many of the options available to us to help us figure out how to help students help themselves. We worked with the writing courses in the first year of the grant, and we launched our pilot in spring of 2025. All communication skills faculty, full-time faculty at Fox Valley Tech used these resources within their classes, and then we rolled them out to the rest of our classes and to all of our adjunct instructors in the past year.
Our guiding question really was how we could get students to use AI in an ethical way. We realized it's not going away. So rather than trying to ban the use of AI, we decided to embrace it. Our goal was to help students write with greater clarity and confidence through the use of AI. So we decided to frame the AI as a support tutor that could help guide the students through the writing process while keeping their original thoughts at the forefront and allowing the AI to serve as more of a supplemental assistant. We work to emphasize ethical practices and transparent use. We wanted students to know we know they're using it. We're encouraging them to use it in the proper ways. And as a result, we developed a lot of cool tools, policies, and additional resources to help shape AI enhanced writing in our classes.
The first things that we needed to do was come up with some language for our syllabus to help our students understand how AI will play a role within their writing classes. So Kelly, I'm going to have you pull up the syllabus language so we can take a look at this. All of our documents and resources are linked within our PowerPoint. So when you receive access to the PowerPoint, you will also have access to all of these documents. But as you can see here, we came up with a clear syllabus language talking about how we know AI is going to be part of education going forward. And we want students to understand that it can be used as an enhancement and as a support tool, but the human element of using AI really matters. So we kind of gave a general idea of what it can be used for, like drafting, topic ideas, outlining, and revising and editing, but what it cannot be used for, like to write a whole entire paper or to just copy and paste what AI says and take it as your own. And so within the syllabus language, as Kelly, if you scroll down a little bit, please, we came up with some potential consequences for incorrectly or unethically using AI. And I personally have not had to enforce this as frequently as I thought I would. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and talk a little bit about some of the resources that we made that I think are supporting students as they learn how to use AI in writing. So because these are all separate documents, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but we can see that we have a general summary of each. So we provided a long list of various AI tools that students could use outside of our learning management system. We created a resource that explains what generative AI or large language model AI is and how it can support students and support them as they move into their workplace or into their career field. We came up with a custom chat GPT, actually 3 different ones through chat GPT, which we will talk about in a little bit. Let's move to the part 2 of this. We came up with examples of how to use our AI tool within Blackboard Ultra, which is our current learning management system. Blackboard Ultra has the capability to create AI conversations, and so we developed different personas, which we will get to. We created video overviews, a guide on like what to do and what not to do when you use AI, information on how to prompt AI to get the most out of a conversation, and then examples of what an effective prompt would look like versus what a poorly worded prompt would look like. So with all of these resources, they are in our Blackboard shells, and we can guide students to look at them and review them, especially for students who are new to using AI. And in my experience, it's been more students that are new to using AI than I expected. So that has been an interesting turn for us.
Sorry, unmute. The first tool we developed was the AI conversation tool through Blackboard Ultra. And I'm not going to read this, but I just want you to see some of the work that we put into developing. Jenny, who just spoke, developed our friend Brainstorm Buddy. And Brainstorm Buddy is pretty prevalent in all of our classes. He helps students with their outlines, with their sample paragraphs, with their references pages. He becomes an on-the-spot tutor for our students, and I'll walk you through an example of that in a minute. And then in some of our literature classes, in my English Comp 2 class, for example, I created Mary Lit. And Mary Lit is a feminist who helps students to understand critical theories within literature. And she has been tremendously helpful in exploring those deeper concepts. Students ask the questions until they understand the concept, which then very, very quickly translates into much better critical thinking in their papers. So I'm going to show you Brainstorm Buddy as so, for example, this is, I'm going to turn my camera off. Okay, so this is Brainstorm Buddy, and we have Buddy set up as his AI role is to review the draft, provide constructive feedback, but not to rewrite the student's sentence. Here's instructions for the student, and here's the persona of Buddy. He provides guidance, but does not rewrite the paragraph. So what I did here is, just to give you an idea of it, I entered a student sample of a body paragraph for a research paper. So this is about forensic science. And I'm just going to say to Buddy, hi, this is a body paragraph. I'm worried about my topic sentence. And I'll send it. And he seems to be taking an abnormally long time to think today. So you can see he says it introduces the general idea well, but it could be more precise. Consider specifying how courtroom responsibility impacts their mental health or work directly, which would connect better. So, and then he goes on to explain the sources. There's a quote and a paraphrase as the assignment required. But he's not sure about the APA style. And then he needs a better explanatory sentence, which goes directly back to the pi paragraph method that we're encouraging our students to use, which is the topic sentence, information from sources, and an explanatory sentence. So I can continue this conversation and follow up, but this just gives you a general idea of what we're doing as far as AI personas and conversations to help students as an on-time writing tutor.
We also wanted to make sure, as this PowerPoint pulls up, that we resume. Sorry, I can't talk and do it at the same time. That we provided some tools for students that were outside of Blackboard, both so that they were more kind of shareable across the college, that students could access them even once they were past the class if they found them useful. So after playing around with several different options, the thing that we landed on was using custom ChatGPTs to create some additional scenarios. And I'm going to give you a demonstration of those here shortly too. But some of the benefits of ChatGPT over the Brainstorm Buddy or the conversations in Blackboard, maybe not a benefit, but it requires a subscription to create a ChatGPT, the $20 a month subscription, but it does not require a subscription to use it. So students can, once it's created, students can access it with just the free ChatGPT account. So there's that benefit. The other benefit is it can be shared just via a link across all classes, across all platforms, across institutions. So while an AI conversation has to be, you have to have access to somebody else's child to be able to copy it forward. This can be shared, these can be shared with just the link, which also allows us to post it just on our resource pages or our library help page. So students who aren't even in comm skills classes at the moment have access to some of those custom chat GPTs to use on their writing for any class that they're in. You also can upload files to ChatGPT. So both while you're creating the custom GPT, you can put in your own class materials. So for example, we used our own materials from the Right Way Writing Center to kind of train that custom GPT. But if you were doing one in, say, like an automotive field, you could upload a manual for a specific scenario that you wanted students to work on. And then the ChatGPT can learn specifically from that file that you upload. Additionally, students can upload files. So with the AI conversations in Blackboard, students copy and paste, and sometimes it loses the formatting. But here they can upload their entire paper so that it keeps the formatting, and then that's something additional that ChatGPT can look at. And one of the other benefits that we found is it doesn't learn from the student input like a normal, like just the basic ChatGPT does. So it alleviates some of those privacy concerns that students might have, that it's storing their documents or things like that. The kind of downsides of it compared to the AI conversations is with the AI conversations, students, once they hit submit, we as the instructors can see their entire transcript of what it is that how they engaged with the Brainstorm Buddy AI, and kind of see their process along the way. With the custom chat GPTs, we're not able to do that. So you'd have to create, if you wanted to see the transcript, create a separate assignment where they'd copy and paste it in. And it also takes maybe a slightly longer to create, but not that much longer, which I'm going to show you here next. So we actually have, like I think Becky mentioned, we developed 3 different custom GPTs, a general writing one, an APA, and an MLA. So students can choose which one based on the assignment that they're working on, which I'm going to show you. And then I'm also going to show you just very quickly creating a basic custom chat GPT, because it sounds a lot fancier than it is. It's very simple to create once you know how to do that. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm actually going to switch to chat GPT here. So give me a second. So first, this is our APA writing assistant. And so you can see it opens, we give them some suggestions of things that they could start asking it. And we get to set these up within the custom GPT of what we want these to look like. And if I go into it to edit, this is what the student view would look like. I can engage with it through this create button, but then I can also see how it's set up through this configure. And I'm going to show you how to do both of those things here in a minute. But so we can give it the description, we can give it very thorough instructions, we can change the conversation starters of these box options here of how students should begin engaging with the ChatGPT. These are the documents that we uploaded specific to this custom GPT. So obviously the MLA version of it has the MLA documents uploaded. So it can pull from all of these in addition to pulling from ChatGPT's general knowledge. We can choose what its capabilities are and limit some of those. One of the things that we focused on really heavily when we were creating this one is that we did not want it to completely rewrite for students. So the way that this one is set up is it will offer students suggestions of things that they can improve. It will pinpoint them to maybe specific paragraphs or specific sentences that need improvement, and it might give them tips, but it will not rewrite for them, which is one of the key features of what we were looking for as we were developing these tools. Is we did not want the AI to do the critical thinking for the student, right? And so we recognized that students could just go to the normal chat GPT and it would write something for them. But I think for the majority of our students, what we found was they too were kind of afraid of where that line was and were afraid of when to use it and when they were crossing the line. And so it was really nice to give them this tool that said, this won't cross the line for you, right? Anything that you use with this tool kind of fits within the ethical framework that we've set up for our AI policies. So like I said, we piloted these in our courses, but now we also have them linked through some external college resources. So students, even once they've finished our written comm class, can access these custom GPTs for future writing assignments in other classes. And I'm going to walk you through just a really quick setup example, because like I said, it sounds a lot more intimidating than it really is. So once you have the paid subscription, the $20 a month, you'll get this box over here about GPTs. And you can click on explore, and there are a lot of other ones already created even. So if you're looking for something specific that other people have shared, you can do that here. But from the explore button, then you can go to create. You can jump right into this configure if you have a really solid plan of what you want it to do, but I prefer to do it just from this create button. And so you just start with what you want it to create. And so I've copied and pasted an example for an esthetician student. So I just started, please create a GPT for esthetician students to practice engaging with a new client using the following prompt as a starting point. And we said it's going to be a client treatment planning with anti-aging Agnes. The student's a licensed esthetician who's meeting with a new client. We give a little bit of background, what we want the AI persona to look like, or to how we want her to present, and what some of our learning goals are. And then I can send this to the create. And ChatGPT will actually walk me through some of the details needed to create a full-fledged scenario here. So it's set, it says, this is what we recommend for a name. Would we like this name? I'll just say sure, but you could adjust it then if you wanted to, obviously. It's then going to offer to create a profile picture for you based on that scenario. So it does all of that. Of course, there was an issue. The joy of live demonstrations. No, well, we can generate it later. But then it's going to ask you questions about how you want it to interact with students, how you want it to respond, what types of personality traits you'd like it to have. And it offers suggestions for all of that too, which it should be doing now. In theory.
It did add the 4 questions across the custom GPT there. So it is
Yep.
thinking and working. So I don't know if that will help you.
Personality. Give it a better instruction. No. All right, well, it's having technical issues. But as you go back and forth with it, it fills in this configure for you. So it filled in the instructions that we gave it. It gave us these conversation starters, which I can, eliminate. If I just want all students to start the same way, I can narrow that down just to one conversation starter. It would eventually walk me through some of this other stuff here, going into a little bit more detail. Yeah, it's still not wanting to do it. Going through a little bit more detail about how you want the AI to respond to students. Do you want its personality to be kind of like a more difficult client who's bold and very opinionated? Do you want it to be a client who's unsure and needs some encouragement? It will set you up to ask like what types of questions you want the AI to ask students, all of those types of things. So like I said, if it was working, it is a very simple process, and you can do a lot of it kind of in tandem with ChatGPT, and it is very user-friendly. As you go through, then you can test it over here to kind of see what it's doing, and then you can come back to this create button and ask it to do things differently. You can do that very casually. So you can tell it things like, can you please make the personality a little bit more conversational? Right, and then it'll update in real time to make those adjustments. Once you're done, you hit create, and then if I go back to a different one we did for an egg training for Reader Rancher, once it's created, all that you need to do is copy this link, and you can share it there. And if I go into Reader Rancher, who's a little bit more fully developed, Like I said, if I come back to it, we created this one like a month ago, but I can continue the conversation to make adjustments that way. You can see her, all of her descriptions and everything in here as well. But all you need then, like I said, is that link to share with students, to share across your departments or your divisions or even your college. So we found this to be a really helpful tool for students outside of the Blackboard tools. So I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint then. I see the question about the paid subscription. Yes, I think we think that the paid subscription is worth it for those extra tools. Like I said, to create one of those scenarios takes probably, if you have an idea, 10 minutes. And then it creates like a really kind of cool interactive activity for students. I think the paid one also allows you to kind of carry on conversations longer and come back to them more frequently. Like you can kind of see, this is our kind of professional account for CommSkills, but we can revisit any of those ChatGPTs that we've been working on or any of the conversations that we've been working on, all of which are features that to me make the subscription for $20 a month worth it.
Beyond using the actual AI tools themselves, we created some additional resources to help students prepare to use AI and then reflect on their use of AI when afterwards. So the first resource is going to be a prompt essential guide. So if you want to hop to the next slide, I won't read all of it to you, but the overall goal here is to help prepare students to use this by creating a thoughtful prompt, right, in order for them to get the output that they're looking for. And we found that this is a skill in and of itself. So sometimes people are fearing that AI is going to replace writing, but it's also creating us new opportunities to teach students how to write in new ways. And one of those new ways is to come up with a solid prompt in order to get the output that they're looking for. So this is just a short formula that some of us are using to seek feedback for AI. The students have to really think about what is their goal. So what kind of feedback are they looking for from the AI tool? And they need to make sure they're giving it enough context so that the AI tool can understand what it is that they've been assigned and what it is that they're looking for. They need to pick the amount of text they want to submit. Initially, we found if they put a lot of text in, the feedback could either be overwhelming or they weren't getting the best results. So for them to kind of find a focus area for their piece of writing that they want information on and put that in and kind of focus on different sections at a time can be helpful. We're having them think about what type of feedback style they want. Do they want just a summary? Do they want line by line feedback? Do they want to attach a rubric to get feedback based on what the rubric says? And then what's the depth? How much information do they really need? They could get a ton of feedback, and for some students that can be overwhelming. So we kind of are going to focus on 3 main feedback points. So after they write the prompt and then they put in their text, they use the tool. The next slide is going to be the opposing or the reflection piece for them to think about. This is an important piece of the puzzle as well, because we don't want our students just taking the feedback at face value and then incorporating whatever AI said into their writing. It'll sound disjointed, and sometimes the feedback isn't always, excellent. So we want them to think about that reflection component. So the next 2 slides just kind of give you a general overview of what one of the summaries is. So the idea here is for them to think about what feedback did they get. Some students are using the Brainstorm Buddy. Some students are using ChatGPT. There's different students as well, I think, that are using a variety of things maybe we aren't even familiar with yet. So initially I asked the students what tool are they using and then what prompt did they put in, because I do give them points. I look at the prompt that they're using and kind of look at how could we have strengthened your prompt, and then focus on 3 main points, 3 feedback points, and then ask yourself, was the feedback that you got helpful? Did you agree with the feedback? Sometimes students are thinking, well, I don't really know that I want to take this particular piece of feedback. So I think it's good for students to think about their own writing and how they can incorporate the input that they're getting and then revise based on that. They also are asked to reflect on future use. What are some things that they might do differently in the future? before they even hop to AI as a tool. The hope is that if they're getting enough feedback throughout this process, they're starting to learn some of the things they need to work on independently without relying on AI to continue to tell them about the same mistakes. So this might help them to kind of create a bank of things that they will gradually become a better writer based on. So this is just one of the, many examples of the resources we have. So it's beyond just put it into the AI tool and take the feedback. We want them to think about what it is that they're getting as feedback as well.
Because we started working on this project last school year, we are a little bit ahead of the game by incorporating AI into our classes. And in this slide, when you get the access to the PowerPoint, this link right here on the top, AI resources for instructors, are some resources that we built this year to help instructors start to incorporate AI within their classes. So there are handouts and videos for each of these that explain, like, for example, how to use Google Notebook LM from an instructional standpoint, or how to use Gamma as an alternative to PowerPoint. So these resources have been shared throughout various staff development sessions across Fox Valley Technical College to help faculty who are new to AI learn a little bit more about it. Also, we just started using Blackboard Ultra across the college this semester. We were ahead in our department by starting to use Blackboard Ultra last spring. So we're at a little bit of an advantage to that. So to support the rest of the faculty who are just starting what we started last year, these resources help them figure out different ways that they can improve their instruction and learning materials for their students. So again, this will be available when we share the PowerPoint, and you'll have access to the videos and the handouts for your own resource as well.
Some of the more anecdotal or kind of classroom results that we've seen is the first one is really increased student confidence. And Becky's going to share some kind of actual student feedback with you on the next slide. But students have said that this has helped increase their confidence in their writing and in the process. We've had feedback from multiple students that says things like, I can ask this kind of my stupid questions that I'm afraid to ask my instructor or my other students in the class because I don't, want their judgment. So it really has improved their student confidence. Both Brainstorm Buddy and ChatGPT are also very encouraging, as Tara mentioned before, maybe sometimes too encouraging. But it does, in addition to giving them feedback, both of those things are really set up that it offers them, like, you did this really well along the way, so that they don't get kind of discouraged with all of the things that need revision. It also helps them to gain confidence kind of in the writing process because it helps them to walk through some of those stages. We've seen a huge increased quality in the drafts that they're submitting. Better structure, more clarity, taking care of some of the small grammar things that we maybe in the past spent a lot of time correcting. We've seen a much better in-text citations. As Anne mentioned, it often won't create the full reference page citation. It'll ask follow-up questions to get the information from the source, which is very helpful and kind of works as a citation generator that way. But if students kind of include their sources as they're working, like their reference page as they're asking ChatGPT or Brainstorm Buddy for feedback, it does a really nice job, in my experience, of catching and fixing in-text citations. I feel like in the drafts that I've received, I've had to offer much less revision suggestions in terms of in-text citations. We've also seen higher submission rates of students submitting drafts and submitting them on time because they have this built-in tutor that they can use on their own schedule whenever they need the help. And they really liked that idea of it being in that tutor role and having access to it at any point in their writing process, even if that means that they're writing at 2 o'clock in the morning.
So one of the things we do with Brainstorm Buddy is we have a reflection question at the end of each assignment. So the students can, say how they used it, find out whether or not it was useful to them. I made a couple of the Brainstorm Buddy assignments optional, and I was surprised at the number of students who actually used them, even when there were no points associated with them. Um, what I found in writing courses is that those tools really help students understand the process. And what I found in lit courses is it helps them with their critical thinking. So you can see some of the responses I pulled just from 2 weeks ago. Um, they like the fact that it helps them to dive deeper and understand where the question's answer lies. They like that they can have just in time tutoring. So if they have a question, as Kelly said, they can get the answer right away. Um, my favorite question here is, it really helped me dive deeper and answer my own questions. It helps guide you rather than do the work for you. It helps me understand that I'm doing the right thing at the right time. And my favorite one is that last one. Holy cow, did this help me? I loved how it cheered me on and would point out the non-important stuff for a thesis, but something that I can use in my essay. So it's helping them sort through those ideas and help them organize it. So the key here is that it's still the student's idea, but they've got someone to bounce those ideas off of that helps them with, which is really the basis for good writing and analysis.
So in closing, we have learned that AI really can be useful to students. We believe it can enhance their writing when it's paired with strong teaching practices and transparency about the use of it. We feel consistent and continued support is needed in order to adapt confidently to all the changes in the world of AI as things unfold. So we're encouraging you all to keep the conversation going. If you'd like to keep the conversation going with us, Jenny Heinritz is our contact person. So I believe her information is on our final slide. I don't know if Jenny wants to add anything in, but she's developed a lot of wonderful resources for our team and would be a great contact with questions.
Up our presentation part of this session. So again, you can contact me and I can work with the rest of our team to get information that you might need. I also included 2 links within the chat that contain all of our resources, and then this PowerPoint will be made available next week. So before we log off of the session, does anybody have any questions or comments that we can address in the session for everybody to hear? To give that long pause, waiting for student feedback. So I hope I gave enough time in case anybody was interested in asking questions. But we appreciate you attending, and we love nerding out over AI. So please connect if you would like to collaborate on anything, or if you have any questions, concerns, or ideas that we can use as well. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day with all these sessions going on, and best of luck to you in your AI adventures.
All right. Yeah, everyone can let's thank our presenters for sharing their knowledge and experience with us. So thank you so much to the team here for sharing all these awesome information regarding AI and with the writing as well. So thank you for that. I know that many of you have already asked questions and shared comments in the chat, and some of you may be leaving the session as well here, but if anyone else has questions or comments that you'd like to share, please do so in the chat, or you can raise your hand and then we can unmute you, and then you can ask or share any thoughts that you have as well. So. And then I was going to also say that I just put a link to the survey regarding this session. So please take time to complete that survey as well. This is just helpful information for us as well. So thank you.
Gina, I was going to say, Jenny just responded to you, but I'm also going to say we do separate assignments just so that the student has a process in place to get at the goal of that assignment. So there's one for a references page check, there's one for a sample paragraph, there's a thesis one. So because we look at the process, we really did divide those into separate assignments. And then that also allows us to look at the students' process within Blackboard, within Brainstorm Buddy. Ultra saves those conversations so that can be graded separately.
But for each of them, the
And-
Brainstorm Bunny persona stays the same, like the personality and everything stays the same. So we're not like recreating the wheel with each assignment. The persona of the conversation stays, but then just the instructions that we give it and what type of feedback it should give and the instructions we give to students about what they should submit are what changes. So it's, not like you're starting from scratch with each assignment either.
And we have
Does
found
that
that they
answer-
did enjoy the
Oops.
Brainstorm Buddy as well. So once they create, they interact with it and they submit it, they can't access it again. So we've had students ask for additional ones. So for different assignments, they will be able to interact with that because we found once they click submit, they can't go back in.
Your question, Gina? Oh, she's probably muted.
Feel better, Gina.
What do you think, too? You think we're okay to sign off?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, again, thank you to the team for the awesome presentation here. And yeah, everyone have an awesome day and thank you for joining us today.